Hello, everyone. In the previous episode, we told you about the birth of the 12 tribes and the development of Yosef. In this Parsha, Yosef is already 17 years old. He was handsome. His father Yakov loved him immensely for a few reasons. Because he was Rachel's son, for whom Yakov worked 7 years, and he was the smartest. He was very similar to Yakov, and he knew that Yosef would be righteous, so he made him a special coat of many colors. Even though Yosef wore the coat, he never boasted. When Yosef saw the sons of Leah doing things that seemed wrong to him, he would try to correct them. But when they didn't listen, he went to Yaakov and told him. It's important to know that the brothers were truly righteous and didn't do anything wrong. From that day on, they started to hate him. One day, Yosef had a dream. He came to tell his father and brothers, "I dreamed that we were in a very large field. There are a lot of sheaves, and we're bundling them all into bundles. And suddenly, my bundle stood up, and your bundles bowed down to it." They were jealous of him. After some time, Yosef came to his brothers again and told them about another dream. "I dreamed that the sun, the moon, and 11 stars were bowing down to me." The brothers were silent, and their hearts were full of anger towards Yosef. Yosef saw that they weren't responding, so he told his father Yaakov the dream in the presence of his brothers. Yaakov scolded him and said, "Do you think that I, your mother, and your brothers will come and bow down to you?" I'll tell you a secret. Yaakov wasn't really angry. He just pretended so the brothers wouldn't get even more jealous and hate Yosef. He knew the dream was real and even wrote it down with a quill and kept the note to see if it would actually come true. After that, the brothers went out to the city of Shechem and stayed there. Yakov worried about them. He asked Yosef to go check on them. Yosef, of course, did it happily, and Yakov accompanied him a little. When they parted, they studied the section about the decapitated calf together. Yakov and Yosef parted ways, and Yosef continued on to Shechem. There he met a man who told him that the brothers had traveled to a city called Datan. He went towards them, and as Yosef approached, the brothers said, "Here comes the one who wanted us to bow down to him. Let's release the dogs that guard the sheep to attack him." But the dogs didn't move. Shimon decided to shoot arrows at him, but the arrows didn't fly, they just fell. "Hey, what's going on here?" Meanwhile, Yosef reached them and greeted them peacefully. Shimon and Levi said, "Now's the time to kill him, and we'll tell father that a wild animal devoured him." It's important to note that the brothers were righteous, and we don't fully understand what happened. We know one thing, that it was Hashem's will for them to go through such a process. Reuven heard about Shimon and Levi's plan and said, "Let's throw him into a pit and take his coat, slaughter a goat, and stain the coat with blood. Then we'll tell father that a wild animal devoured Yosef." Shimon and Levi threw him into a pit, and there were snakes and scorpions there. But don't worry, Hashem protected him so he wouldn't get hurt. The brothers sat down to eat. Suddenly, a group of Ishmaelites arrived. Yehuda said, "What will we gain if we kill him? Let's sell him to the Ishmaelites who are going to Egypt." Yosef was sold. Reuven arrived and saw that Yosef wasn't in the pit. He was shocked and asked, "What do we do now? How do we tell father?" The brothers drew lots. Who will go and show Yaakov the coat dipped in goat's blood? And in the draw, it was Yehuda who was chosen. Yehuda went and told Yaakov. Yaakov cried a great cry and refused to be comforted. The brothers said to Yehuda, "It's your fault. You're the eldest and we're our leader. And if you had told us not to sell him, we would have brought him back. You're no longer our leader." Meanwhile, Yehuda's wife passed away, and he went to another city. There, a son was born to him named Peretz, from whom the Messiah is destined to come. Do you know why? Because his mother Tamar was very careful about respecting others, and she was willing to throw herself into the fire. The main thing is that Yehuda, her father-in-law, wasn't embarrassed. At this time, Yosef arrived in Egypt. There, he was sold from one person to another until he ended up with Potiphar. One day, Potiphar saw Yosef mumbling. He was startled and asked, "What are you doing there?" "Witchcraft?" Yosef replied, "God forbid, I'm asking Hashem to make my path successful and to do everything the right way." Potiphar said, "In that case, you'll be in charge of my entire household." And so it was. Potiphar's wife tried to persuade Yosef to marry her, but Yosef refused. He said, "I'll only do what Hashem tells me." One day, she grabbed him by his garment and asked him to marry her. Yosef left the garment in her hands and ran away. Potiphar's wife was outraged and told her husband that it was Yosef who wanted to marry her. Potiphar was angry and threw him in jail because of her. But there were two of Paro's officials whose dreams Yosef interpreted, and they got out of prison: the chief cupbearer and the chief baker. What happened next, and how did it affect Yosef? We'll tell you in the next episode.